But yeah, man, I think for now I can just leave it there for now.
Because that's exactly at the heart what the book is about. The main overarching theme, as far as I understood it, is about the process of grief and loss.
Absolutely.
But from 2 points of view.
Yeah.
One point of view is the person who's actually going through it.
Yeah.
And the other point of view is the people observing it.
Yes.
People who are on the outside watching it.
Absolutely.
And how you, beforehand maybe, having lost people in your life, like your
Yes.
father, and various family members, and you spoke very vividly about a childhood friend of yours who had passed away. You had experienced grief up until that point.
Yeah.
And so maybe you had certain assumptions about what it's meant to be like up until it hit you home.
Yes.
And how that was different from what you thought
Yes.
it was going to be.
Yes.
How was it different?
Sure. Sure. Thanks, bro, for the question. It's just I'm trying how to answer it in a way that will be so clear. Let me say this. I've been trying to explain this to a lot of people, like after this, because there's a chapter, Losing a Loved One. That chapter is just dedicated to, to people who think just because you've lost a 6-month-old baby, you can just make another one and move on. You know. Now, here's the thing that is happening, man, that I've been seeing. It taught me a lot, by the way, because I know I used to have this thing at the back of my mind that when a person loses their grandparent, I'll be like, he was old or she was old. Sorry, bruh. Move on with life, you know. But you know, when you go through these things, you sit down and you contemplate, then you realize that it's mainly on a relationship. Because for me to lose an uncle who lives in Joburg that I've never met, to lose an uncle who raised me up, those are two different things. You see, if I come to you and say, "Bruh, my uncle has passed away," you know, people mustn't be quick to say, okay, at least it's not your father, it's not your mother, you know. So it's just there. You don't know what the relationship I have with that person. So before you can try to, try to sort of comfort me in that way, you know, don't do that. There's a person, who came to Nombile and said, "Oh, guys, at least your baby was 6 months." You know, there's a couple that I know, they lost their son who was 21 years old. So like.
As if that makes a difference.
Absolutely. And so this is what I'm trying to drum into people's heads, that it's not mainly about all those things, it's about the relationship you have. I'm even talking about the people who loses their babies in miscarriage. And again, at the back of our hearts, we just think, no,
and I
sorry,
think,
you'll make another one and move on.
And I think you had said in your mind now, you had said in the book, when you were writing it, you realized that every life matters.
Absolutely.
You realize that, wow, I've been taking for granted perhaps some of the pain, the kind of pain that other people go through,
Yes.
especially in cases like that, where
Yeah.
before you may have thought that it was somehow less painful or
Absolutely.
easier,
Yeah.
but you realize that
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, just to add on that, man, this thing of losing a loved one, some people, they'll think, okay, I'm not going to say we had it harder because Nqaba was the only child. After having gone through this, I know that even if we had 10 kids, losing a child would still have been something bad, So that's how it goes, man, So, yeah.
So that's from the perspective of the person going through loss. Now, the interesting thing is the people observing it. Because you made a lot of comments about the kinds of mistakes that many people made,
Sure,
like we've been
big
talking
time,
about
man.
now,
Yeah.
in trying to comfort you
Yeah.
and Nombilo. But also some of the things that some people did right.
Absolutely.
You used the story of Job in a very
Absolutely.
important way,
Yeah.
about how his friends, at least for the first week, I think, sat quietly
Yes,
and
yes.
didn't say anything.
Yeah.
They were just there.
Yeah.
But many people would say things
Yeah.
that you look back on and it didn't help.
Absolutely, and not appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to say something on that, I'll say this on a Christian perspective. From one church, the church that has one leader, one pastor, people will learn that you've lost the loved one. I'm not directing this to anyone, but it's something that we went through, so I wrote about it, hoping to teach people, not to say that I know everything, but at least you can learn something. from the same church, when people learn that you've lost your loved one, in the morning, I'm just using this as an example, in the morning, from the same congregation, you'll get people coming to you to comfort you. They will say all accusation, the devil did this, the devil did that, da 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 da. Then you're like, okay. In the afternoon, from the same congregation, people come and they say, no, this was the hand of God. Da, da, da. So I'm just trying to teach people that just shut up if you don't know what to say. Just simple like that.
With respect.
Absolutely, man. Just truly, this thing, they don't know how hurting this thing is, because just because I'm going through pain, it doesn't mean that I'm numb or my mind is not here. I'm processing whatever that you're saying. Yes. So I'm even I made an example there of how I messed up, when I lost one of my friends, because, this thing of trying to be quick with words, only fools do that, the Bible says. Don't be quick with words. If you find me grieving or mourning, just come and say it with me. That doesn't mean that's it's only way you can do that. Some people can speak words that will heal you, but don't put yourself under pressure and try to be quick with words. Just sit next to me. If I want to talk with me. If I don't want to talk, don't be judgmental. Don't quote scriptures. I don't want to hear scriptures sometimes. Yeah. There's a very interesting story in the Bible where young boys were killed. It was before the birth around the birth of Jesus. One thing that is very interesting in the Bible, it says, as much as a lot of women have lost their children, sons, they lost their sons, the Bible says those women didn't want to be comforted. Very interesting. They didn't want to be comforted. Maybe sometimes I won't want to be comforted. Maybe you can think about that. Yeah. I'm just going crazy. Just give me a space, to do that. So.
Because what it is that I find, at least in my professional and personal experience, a lot of the time when people are observing grief and loss and difficulty, their rush to try and say something or do something is less to do with trying to comfort the mourner, but to try and avoid the awkwardness of watching a person going through a hard time.
Yeah.
They may not say it like that, but a person's falling apart, they're crying, they're inconsolable maybe even, and you don't know what to do with yourself about that. Yeah. You feel like you have to say something or do something, and then you can say or do things that harm rather than heal. Things like that.
Now, I've even mentioned that I'm not saying that this book should be used as a point of reference, that should you lose somebody, go back to it and be like, how to comfort people. These are not 10 steps. I was talking to a friend of mine. This book is not 10 steps. I'll never write those 5-step, 10-step books. It's not my thing. I'll just, these are the books that I'll keep writing about, differs with topics, But not that you'll always know what to say, you'll always know what to do. I'm not saying people should tiptoe around people who are money, but just to alert them that, man, just be aware that you could be breaking people's hearts here, with whatever that you're doing.